My approach was to immerse myself in a business until I got to a point where I felt that the strategies I was handing off were the ones I would use were I running the company myself. I would break each company down into distinct logical components and then come up with a plan for managing each part, using a variety of financial tools, especially derivative instruments. The most important components to separate were the profits coming from the core business and those that were speculative profits and losses coming from price changes. We would do this to show them what a risk-neutral position would look like, which is to say, the properly hedged position one would take if one didn't have a view of the markets. Good morning, everybody, and we are back. It's been a very interesting time with a seminar for 7 days. So I think I was able to get in touch with most of you, all of the followers, to let you know that, yes, life got in the way a little bit, but we are back. Just came back from 2 days of camping as well, so that was very, very exciting. Good way to let everything go after 7 very intensive days. Ladan on Zoom has just welcomed me back as well. I know he is very happy to see us again. And so we're going to get back into reading Principles Ray Dalio. So we are up to page 45. Let me double check where exactly we are. So it's been quite a while, so I'm not exactly sure. So we're going to start at the top of page 44, where it says, my approach was to immerse myself in a business. So let's get ready to keep going with, yes, this really amazing book. We're still in the section where I'm coming from. Here we go. My approach was to immerse myself in a business until I got to a point where I felt that the strategies I was handing off were the ones I would use were I running the company myself. I would break each company down into distinct logical components and then come up with a plan for managing each part, using a variety of financial tools, especially derivative instruments. The most important components to separate were the profits coming from the core business and those that were speculative profits and losses coming from price changes. We would do this to show them what a risk-neutral position would look like, which is to say, the properly hedged position one would take if one didn't have a view of the markets. I haven't been reading for a while, can you tell? I would advise them to deviate from this position only when they wanted to speculate, which they should only do in measured ways and with full knowledge of the effects it could have on their core business. This approach was eye-opening for most of the firms we worked with. It gave them clarity and control and yielded them better results. Sometimes they wanted us to speculate for them, which we would do for a share of the profits. So this is Ray Dalio's company, where he is now once again advising people, rebuilding the company, which is really amazing. And he is assisting companies that have products that relate to prices. So for example, let's say, for example, a chocolate factory that is going to be making chocolate, which contains cocoa, it's going to contain sugar and different other ingredients. And the prices of those go up and down. So if you want to be able to sell your product for the same price, then you need to be able to have your cocoa beans and your sugar and everything else come in at the same price. So in order to do that, you want to be able to then use the futures market to buy and sell cocoa at different times, buy and sell sugar at different times, so that if you're expecting the price to go up, you're actually buying it lower. If you're expecting the price to go down, then you just buy it like that. So what you're doing is you're minimizing your risk on increases or decreases in the price of your raw ingredients, which is a really brilliant business model. This approach to establishing a risk-neutral benchmark position and deviating from it with measured bets was the genius of the style of investment manager we would later call alpha overlay, in which passive beta and active alpha exposures are separated. The return of a market, such as the stock market itself, is called its beta. Alpha is the return that comes from betting against others. For example, some people outperform the stock market and others underperform it. They are said to have positive or negative alpha. With alpha overlay, we were offering a way of making bets independent of underlying market performance. Approaching the market in this way taught me that one of the keys to being a successful investor is to only take bets you are highly confident in and to diversify them well. One of our clients in the mid-1980s, oh, here we go. This was the interesting story I said last time that we were going to come to. One of our clients in the mid-1980s was Alan Bond, an audacious entrepreneur who was one of the richest people in Australia. Self-made man. Even though self-made doesn't really exist because everybody gets some assistance from somewhere. He was famous for being the first non-American to win the America's Cup yacht race in its then 132-year history. Like Bunker Hunt, he eventually bet badly and was forced to declare bankruptcy. I advised him and his team on their way up and stayed on through his downfall, so I watched the tragedy unfold from up close. He was a classic case of confusing business with speculation and only hedging when it was too late. Interesting, very quick story. I used to know somebody that actually knew Alan Bond, and they were setting up a business, and Alan Bond decided that he didn't want to, if this was the line of legality, everything on this side is legal and everything on that side is illegal. A lot of people like to be on the line or just on the legal side of legal. And Alan Bond always wanted to see if he could find a way to do things illegally and get away with it. Be very close to the line still, but rather than be on the line just over the side of legality, he always wanted to be just over the line of illegality, find a way to do things that were only just illegal. And that is eventually what caused a lot of his troubles. Bond borrowed US dollars to buy assets like breweries in Australia. He did that because US interest rates were lower than they were in Australia. Though he didn't realize it, he was speculating that the US dollar, in which he would have to pay back his loans, would not rise. When the US dollar did rise against the Australian dollar in the mid-1980s and his Australian dollar beer sales earnings weren't enough to pay his debts, his team called me for advice. I calculated what Bond Corp's position would be if they hedged on currencies and saw that doing so would lock in losses that would ruin them. So I advised them to wait. When the Australian dollar rallied, I advised them to put the hedges in place, but they didn't because they believed the currency problem had gone away. Before long, the Australian dollar plunged to new lows and they called me in for an emergency meeting. There wasn't much they could do without locking in ruinous losses, so they again did nothing, and this time the Australian dollar didn't rally. Seeing one of the richest and most accomplished men on the planet lose everything made a huge impression on me. We also did one-off consulting projects related to the markets. In 1985, I worked with Paul Tudor Jones, a good friend and a great trader, to design a US dollar future contract, tradable index tracking the price of the US dollar against a basket of foreign currencies that traded and still trades on the New York Cotton Exchange. I worked with the New York Futures Exchange to help design and market their CRB futures contract, a tradable index that tracks the price of a basket of commodities. Unlike most other people who work in the markets, I never had any desire to build investment products, especially conventional ones, just because they would sell well. All I wanted was to trade the markets and build relationships, doing for our clients exactly what I would do if I were in their shoes. But I also love building brand new things, especially if they were great and revolutionary. By the mid-1980s, a couple of things were clear to me. First, we were making good calls in the interest rate and currency markets, and the institutional investment managers who were buying our research were using it to make money. Second, we were successfully managing companies' interest rate and currency exposures. With these two things going as well as they were, I figured we could become successful institutional investment managers ourselves. So I made a pitch to the people who ran the World Bank's pension fund, most importantly, Hilda Ochoa, who was its chief investment officer at the time. Despite the fact that we had no assets under management and no track record, she gave us a $5 million US bond account to manage. That was a huge turning point for us, as it was the start of Bridgewater as we know it today. The strategy we used for the World Bank shifted between holding cash and holding 20-year US Treasury bonds, because these positions would give us leverage bets on the direction of interest rates. When our systems indicated that the pressures on interest rates would cause them to fall, we would hold 20-year Treasury bonds. And when the system pointed to rates rising, we would stay in cash. We did very well. And before long, other large institutional investors gave us money to manage as well. Mobil Oil and Singer were our next two accounts, and others followed in rapid succession. We went on to become the top performing US bond manager in the world. And I just realized that I actually have 2 bookmarks. I never knew that. So we have gotten to the next section, which is called Venturing Behind the Closed Door of China, which sounds very exciting. We'll get back to that one next time that we start reading, which will be tomorrow morning. Back to our usual routine. Everything is going to be back to normal after this week. So that is very exciting. So hope you're enjoying us being back to Principles Ray Dalio reading every morning. I'm very excited. And if you enjoyed this, and if you would like to know what happened before the parts that we're reading right now, you can do that by going to our YouTube channel. You can find us there at the Passive Cash Flow Club. Feel free to join and subscribe, because then you'll also receive notifications when we release other videos, because we do lots of other great videos. We have lots of very interesting content videos. We answer your questions. So if you have any questions, I'll give you my Instagram in just a moment, so you can personally message me and ask me your questions around finance and investing and wealth creation. And I would love to answer some of your questions. I've got a set of 8 or 9 that we're going to be releasing every week, which is very exciting. So yes, go over to the Passive Cash Flow Club. You can find this book, you can find Rich Dad Poor Dad, you can find The Art of Thinking Clearly, all the books that we've read up until this point. Also, if you would like to ask your questions, and if you would like to know more about the Cash Flow Club that we run, which is a way for you to be able to practice and get into the habit of investing with no risk, because obviously it has it's all play money. So there is nothing that you can actually risk, but you can learn how to invest, and you can learn all these different things about taxes and how wealthy people think and how they act and what kind of deals they buy. And you can practice and learn to buy deals just like that. So you can do that by also sending me a message on Instagram and letting me know that you're interested in cash flow, and we'll send you the details. So to do that, go to business_team_6_official, and you'll be able to find me there. Send me a message, ask me your questions, and let me know that you're interested in cash flow. And then I'll get my VA, my virtual assistant, to send you the details so that you can join us there. I am very excited that you came today. I really appreciate it. I am really, really happy to be back to reading. I enjoy reading for you a lot. And very soon, we're also going to start up doing some things around reading the news. So we'll pick a news website and we'll go through, and I will talk about what is in the news, what it might mean, and how things function and how everything fits together. Because you would have noticed in what we were reading today in Principles that we were going quite deep into bonds and bond market, not only Allen bond, but actual US Treasury bonds. And we were also talking about hedging and different other things, future products that Ray Dalio created. So the more you can understand what they are, the better it is. So we'll talk about some of those in that section that we're going to be starting up. So lots of really exciting things there. So I really appreciate you joining today. I am going to stop the recording now, and then we're going to go on to Bigo, and I will see who has joined and follow everybody that's joined, and say hello and reply to anybody that left a message. So thank you so much for joining. It is always a pleasure. I really, really enjoy reading and giving some commentary so that you can become a better investor. And remember, and I haven't said this in about a week. Wow. I need to really make sure that our motto, that I say it every single day. Yes, so remember to make the switch to unlock your rich. And then I'll see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Sydney time, for another reading. So remember to make the switch to unlock your rich.